this on another nutso day here in the United States. When it Ukraine's, it pours. And I don't know about you, but I am soaking wet right now. So here's what's going on. One day after the Speaker of the House started a formal impeachment inquiry into the actions of our Orange Julius Caesar, the White House fired back this morning. They countered with a summarized transcript of Trump's now infamous call with the president of Ukraine. And what a transcript this was. This is like if O.J. told Chris Darden, hey, you found my glove. It was like, I assume you know the story, but the short version is a whistleblower came forward because he or she believed the president pressured the leader of Ukraine to look for dirt on Joe Biden's son, and we learned from the transcript also to find Hillary Clinton's emails. This is what the whistleblower said happened. Trump said that did not happen and released a transcript that said it did happen. He did both of those things, but multiple times, and abused the office of both the president and the attorney general. He clearly only had one reason for making this call, and that was to strongly encourage President Zelensky to find information that could hurt Trump's opponents and help his campaign. That is the conclusion any reasonable person who reads this would draw. But the president has repeatedly claimed that the call in question was perfect.
The conversation I had with the president of Ukraine was absolutely perfect. That call was a great call. It was a perfect call. A perfect call. It was a beautiful, warm, nice conversation. The conversation, by the way, was absolutely perfect. I said absolutely nothing wrong. It was perfect. We had a great conversation. It was a warm and friendly conversation.
It was a totally appropriate conversation. It was actually a beautiful conversation. It was a very innocent call. We had a very nice call. It's a great call. It's a very honorable call. It's a nice call. By the way, the conversation was absolutely perfect, absolutely appropriate. It was a perfect conversation. Everything we said on that call was perfect. It was a very, very fine conversation. It was an absolutely perfect conversation. But what I said was so good. It was a great conversation. It was a really great conversation. And everybody will say that.
Yeah. Well, he's right. It was pretty great. It was a perfect phone call. Pleasantries were exchanged, friendships were built, crimes were committed. I have no notes. I give it 5 stars. And he seems to have no idea of how bad it is. Who would have guessed that Vladimir Zelensky would be his Monica Lewinsky? I mean, it really is. Only this time, they blew a whistle. And of course, the president was on the defensive today, lashing out at the media and claiming he didn't pressure anybody to do anything.
There was no pressure. The way you had that built up, that call, it was going to be the call from hell. It turned out to be a nothing call, other than a lot of people said, I never knew you could be so nice.
He really thinks we're idiots. And by the way, he's right. We are idiots who elected an idiot to run our country. This transcript was very clearly a thinly veiled extortion attempt. Republicans in Washington, they spent the morning diving under their desk like it was an earthquake drill. They keep saying, look at the transcript. There's no quid pro quo. Which, maybe there's no pro quo. There's a hell of a quid. There's a big old quid. After putting a hold on millions of dollars in aid money, Trump told the president of another country to look into Joe Biden and his son and said, whatever you can do, it's very important that you do it. Or else what? Nothing? I mean, how else are you supposed to read that? But people like Lindsey Graham are arguing that this transcript exonerates Trump. He called it a nothing burger, which made the president happy and hungry. And by the way, when you hear someone call something a nothing burger, you can be damn sure there's something in that burger. Here's the thing, this Donald Trump, he cannot help himself. He's been doing business like this forever. He's a sneaky, ham-handed racketeer who cheats and cheats and cheats in every situation of his life. It's who he is. Shaking people down is what he does. He doesn't know how to do anything else. He thinks he's Tony Soprano. And in a lot of ways, he is Tony Soprano. They're both overweight mouth breathers who are disappointed with their sons. But Tony Soprano, at least Tony Soprano knew when his conversations were being recorded and that he should avoid saying illegal things. If Tony Soprano ran the mob like this, he wouldn't have made it past episode 3. But Trump, the way I see it, there are 2 possibilities here. Either Donald Trump knows what he's doing is wrong and does it anyway, or he doesn't know what he's doing is wrong, which I think might be worse. I think he wants to admit he colluded with a foreign power. He's proud of it. He doesn't understand what all the commotion is about. He would do it again. He's Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. Only in this story, there are no good men. It's just all bad men. This was incredible, too. This goes in the everything we do, we screw up category. So shortly after the White House released the transcript, they sent out these talking points that they want Republican congresspeople to use when they're interviewed on the news to defend the president. But unfortunately for them, instead of just sending it to the Republicans in Congress, they sent them to the Democrats in Congress, too, and then tried to recall the email, which always works, really. Hey, guys, you mind sending those back without reading them? Two of the talking points actually suggested that Republicans, this is from the White House, they said, put blame on the deep state, which, I mean, at this point, why not just say chupacabras forced the president to do this? Everything is lies. The only true thing Donald Trump ever said was he could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and he wouldn't lose any voters. At the time, I thought that was a ridiculous statement, but now I think he's right. If Trump pulled out a gun and fired point blank at like that naked cowboy who walks around Times Square with a guitar, Lindsey Graham would say, great shot. Kevin McCarthy would say, reminds me of John Wayne. And Mike Pence would say, giddy up, we're going for a ride. It's really amazing. So the good news, if there is any good news left in the world, is that Joe Biden is here tonight. We will get his first reactions on this ridiculous day. So, as this news is breaking, Trump held a very, very low-energy press conference this afternoon.
The press was asking questions of the president of Ukraine, and he said no pressure. I used the word pressure. I think he used the word push, but he meant pressure, but it's the same thing. No push, no pressure, no nothing. It's all a hoax, folks. It's all a big hoax.
I haven't seen him this sad since they threw him out of the dressing room at Miss Teen USA. He was noticeably subdued. He's either very concerned about this or the edibles kicked in at the wrong time, because he rambled on about 100 different subjects: the wall, Hillary, the stock market, Poland. He complained that he said, I used to be the king of good press, and it all changed when I started running for president. Yeah, because instead of just being a ridiculous person we all have to, you became a ridiculous person who has the nuclear codes. So Trump also trotted out the guy on the other end of the call, the president of Ukraine, who, fortunately for him, happened to be in town for meetings at the UN.
We had, I think, good phone call. It was normal. We spoke about many things, and so I think, and you read it, that nobody pushed me. Yes.
In other words, no pressure.
Well, that settles that, I guess. You heard it from the hostage's mouth. There was no pressure. At the center of all this drama is the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. He's the one who actually went to Ukraine to get the dirt. He needs dirt to keep the lid of his coffin moist. Giuliani doubled down on his assertion that the State Department sent him to Ukraine, even though the State Department this week specifically denied that they did, and lost his temper in the usually very friendly confines of Fox News.
Okay, I'm going to bring Rudy back in. Rudy, you've been listening to this conversation.
Yeah, I sure have, and I'd like to say to Mr. Hahn, I should sue you for libel, because you irresponsibly said... Oh, please. Yeah, well, you actually usually say incredibly stupid things.
You're a public figure.
Yeah, and by the way, do you have any idea that the State Department...
So then you know the libel law.
Shut up, moron. Shut up.
Okay, hold on.
Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about, idiot.
Luckily, the president is surrounding himself with calm and stable people to help him through this. Some members of Congress today got to read the whistleblower's complaint, and after reading it, Chuck Schumer said he's now even more worried about what happened. Eric Swalwell, who's a Democrat, said this is a 5-alarm concern. Even Ben Sasse, a Republican, said Republicans ought not to be rushing to circle the wagons and say there's no there when there's obviously a lot that's very troubling there. What if the whistleblower, and just go with me on this, what if the whistleblower shows up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., turns out to be Mike Pence. Wouldn't that be the best? I've had enough of your abuse, Donald. Get your stuff. Mother and I are moving into the White House. And that's that. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, click the subscribe button. And if you didn't like it, well, you hurt my feelings.